enu kita wudie ewo UMB speed up kwan panaso UMB speed up Digibank. Let's go.
When you are given an opportunity to live, you make the most of it. Success may not come instantly, but joy will never be out of your reach. And out of that one opportunity will come even greater things. So no matter what direction the wind blows, embrace it with a prepared mind. Because one day, when you sit back and look at it all, the journey will be a memory you will never forget. And enterprise would have been there through it all. It's what we've been doing for 90 good years. Enterprise, your advantage.
We all wish to have the perfect balance between work and the people that matter most to us. So, we are always on the quest to find ways to make this possible. With the many innovative and dynamic features that the UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed Up, offers, you get the time-saving convenience to help create this balance. You can transfer money, pay bills, apply for a loan, invest money, and do so much more right on your phone with the UMB mobile banking app. So, you can spend more time with those that matter most to you. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed Up, lets you bank conveniently anywhere and everywhere so that you can enjoy more time with those that you love and doing what you love most. We're good to go. UMB Speed Up, Digibank, let's go!
Thank you very much, technical team. Thank you all our sponsors for the kind words and for the assurance that we can count on you, and also for the product that you are making to enhance our lives. As a digital program, we encourage people to engage more on technology. So one thing we are going to do today is that all the questions that we are going to take during the colloquium will be through our online platform. Most of the questions, at least, if not all the questions, would be on our WhatsApp line. So we encourage you that as the speaker speaks, any question that you may have, don't wait until we say it's question and answers time. Just send those questions to us through the WhatsApp line, 024 9999 555. 024 9999 555. Please, let's send it through WhatsApp. And this is what you do. You proceed with the city. So we are in Kumasi. So you just type Kumasi. When you go to WhatsApp and you're going to send a message, type Kumasi. After typing Kumasi, follow that by your first name. So my name is Matthew. That is my first name. So I'll type Kumasi and I'll follow by Matthew. And then I'll list the questions that I have. If you have 3 questions, just number them. Number 1. Question 1, then you put the details over there. Number 2, you put the details over there. Number 3, you can ask as many questions as possible. And then we will have time to put them to our speakers when they get on stage. That is how it's going to be. And throughout this whole program, most of the interactions are going to be on social media platforms and through our WhatsApp line. The number again, 024 9999 555. And this applies to our online listeners as well. Regardless where you are, you could send your questions through to us. We'll take our first presentation, and we have been honored by the presence of a woman I've come to respect so much. Within the past 2 years that I've known her, I am very moved by her passion and her enthusiasm. She's a lawyer by profession. She's a senior manager commercial and legal affairs of MTN Ghana. She's also the company secretary to the board. She has over 20 years experience as a lawyer, 10 of which has been in the digital technology and telecoms industry. Before joining MTN, she worked in several companies. She holds a first degree in law from University of Ghana, Legon, and a qualification certificate in law from the Ghana School of Law. And this was as far back as 1995. I won't mention my age by then. She obtained a master's degree in law in electronics and commercial law from the University of Cape Town in South Africa. She's a member of the Ghana Bar Association. She loves children. She's the head of the Children's and Youth Department of the International Gospel Church, Open Heavens Assembly in Nigeria, Ghana, in Accra. Kindly help me with a clap offering. Let's welcome Mrs. Pala. I see a Ofori. Please help her with her clap before she gets here. She came all the way from Accra just to join us today.
Thank you very much, Matthew. And a round of applause for yourselves. Thank you for coming out today. If you hadn't come, it wouldn't be this special, right? And I'd like to say a big hello from MTN. And we are everywhere you go. And we've gone a step further. We want to say, we dare for you. Can you repeat that after me? We dare for you. We dare for you. You didn't say it loudly. We dare for you. Very good. So we're talking about the digital revolution. I'll go straight to the point. And this morning, this afternoon, the question that we are going to ask is, are you ready? Are you ready for the digital revolution? And what I can say is that, ready or not, here I come. Because you see, nothing is waiting for you. Change is inevitable. And the only thing that doesn't change is change itself, because it's sure to come. Okay? And I'm reminded of the story, not a story, but the true interactions I had with my grandma. She died at the age of 103 in 2016, and I was very close to her. And this example of being left behind, when change is coming, it's a tide, and you need to jump in and swim along with the tide, because if you don't, you sink. And one thing that I realized with my grandma was that she was very interested in my iPad. And she was over 100 years old, very interested in my iPad, wanted to know why it was moving. And I said, I tried to explain to her, it's like a TV. She's like, why is it still moving, if it's a TV? And she was shocked that it could take pictures of her instantly. And she was saying, you just took it. I mean, this is the dress I'm wearing. Is this me? And I realized that she was living at the time when we had pinhole cameras. You take the picture with the pinhole camera. I'm sure a lot of you don't even remember that. Did you know there was something called a pinhole camera? And you know, to take the picture, and some parts of your face would even show. And I remember I had an auntie who would take a pen, and if her eyebrows didn't show, she would draw the eyebrows there. You know, she wasn't good. I won't take much of your time. You can see it on the screen. The Industrial Revolution was the first one. Steam, power, you know, mechanizing production, manufacturing factories came up, all of that. Then we had the Industrial Revolution. The use of power, electricity, and everything made the textile industries boom, okay? And then we had the third Industrial Revolution, and that was the Digital Revolution, where you have the internet, the PC. Wasn't it an interesting era? And we are still in it today, right? With the use of electronics, information technology, automation, production is faster, okay? And it's fundamentally impacting every aspect of business and of life. And that's the Digital Revolution. But one very important man is talking about the fourth Industrial Revolution. And this, he's saying, is here with us already. And this was Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. And he said, and I quote, "The fourth revolution is building on the third." The digital revolution that has been occurring since the middle of the last century, it's been occurring since the middle of the last century. It means it's here with us already. And it is characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. Okay? So now the lines are being blurred. First, you have the Industrial Revolution, now Digital Revolution. Now, you have the Digital Revolution, and that's where we think that we are. But he is even saying that, look, the Industrial Revolution is gone. You have the second Industrial Revolution and the third Industrial Revolution, and now the fourth is here with us, and we have to jump in. Because whether we like it or not, we are impacted by it. So technology is now merging more and more with human lives. And don't you see that? Don't you have your cell phones? Don't you sometimes even have to use your finger as a password to be able to enter your phones? So more and more technology, I mean, the fourth Industrial Revolution is here with us. And biology and everything is now coming together with the digitalized aspect of things. Okay? So now a simple cell phone has more power than any supercomputer from 1980 and 1990. Virtually, we are carrying technology in our pockets. And this was said by Ian Khan. So now, information at its best. It has advantages. Everything has advantages and disadvantages. True or false? Yes. And so, information, the digital revolution, you know, and the fourth industrial revolution is here with us. And there are good things about it. Information is at its best. There's a great opportunity for learning. Great resource tool. How to? You can go onto Google and find out in several ways how things can be done. You can create things, you can construct things, you can watch videos on how things are done, okay? And so it's a how-to situation that we find ourselves in today. It's very easy to get information. Creativity is at its best. A world of information to build on, because there's so much information out there that you're not having to start from scratch. You can continue from where someone has left off. Now we have pocket lawyers, pocket pharmacists, pocket doctors. I mean, I go to a hospital, they give me a drug, I come and search and find out what are the side effects on it if I take it, you know. I had a very close person of mine who was diagnosed with diabetes. And I read so much about it. I knew everything about diabetes. I mean, look, I was as good as a medical doctor. I hadn't done the 7 years. I had done like 2 days in my bedroom. But I'm sure I was better than the doctor. Don't you think so? I knew everything about diabetes, you know. And simply because it was at a click of my finger. Now, the world is not a global village. It's actually a global neighbor, a global house tenant, and it's so much closer to us. It's no longer a village, okay? Now, traveling worldwide, you can sit in your room and find out what is happening all over the world. My daughter did a project, and I was able to find out about ancient Greece. We were able to even do a theater, the ancient Greece theater. I've never been to Greece. I don't know what it looked like, but I was able to do it. We constructed it together. Just sitting in our house, the comfort of our home. We traveled to Greece digitally, and we're able to construct things and do a presentation. So you don't even need to travel. You can sit in your room, and with a click of your finger, you are able to find out what is happening in other places. You have the opportunity to develop skills. You may be studying something now, but you can find out more about what you are studying. And the good thing is that you can even find out more about what you are not even studying. An area that you are not very well versed in, an area that you've never studied in, you can actually go and do research on the internet. There's more. You can expand your limits. The sky is no longer the limit. Research is everything. And one of the things that I want you to do when you are researching, when you're on the internet, use your time efficiently. Ask yourself that how many years from now, a decade from now, okay, how is what you are currently studying going to be impacted by technology? How is it going to be impacted by the digital revolution? How is it going to be impacted by the fourth industrial revolution? Because we have instances where what human beings were doing are now going to be done by robots. So ask yourself, whatever you are studying, and if you think that what you are studying may be a risk area, you need to quickly make sure that you put yourself out there in the digital field, in the technological field, so that you are able to catch up, okay, when the unthinkable happens. You don't want to be replaced by a robot, do you? No, you have to be current all the time. And so be inquisitive. They say curiosity killed the cat. Which cat? Aren't there many cats around? Don't you see them all the time? Very good. So expand your limits. Now, information at its best, but we have to be careful. For every good thing, you also have other aspects of it, don't you? That you need to be careful of. And there was this, you know, in Europe, when you sit in the train, before you sit in the train, they tell you, mind the gap. Because they don't want you to, slip, your leg goes into the gap, the train goes over you, it's a whole problem, okay? And so even before you sit on the train, they say, mind the gap. As you are going and surfing and clicking, you need to mind the gap, okay? Note that every strength that is overplayed becomes a weakness. You need to avoid irrelevant information. Some of the things that are said, is it worth it? Is it worth your time? Is it taking you where you want to go in the next 10 years? And sometimes we need to cut them out, okay? Efficient use of your time. Be focused. Don't compromise on privacy and security. Predators abound. There are dangerous people out there. And one hiding behind a screen, they can pretend to be anybody. And that is why you have to be careful. For instance, mobile. Focus on maintaining what is actually important and rejecting frivolity, junk that one does not use, basically making use of what you've got. And that is what the tiny house movement is all about. Google it and read about it. It's very interesting. Now, juxtaposing that with the digital revolution, there's a lot of information available. The point is, how much of it is useful to you? And you need to come to the point where you're able to have a good balance, such that you're able to take out what is unimportant so that you can focus and achieve what you need to achieve in the next decade, when it comes. To make sure that you are on point, to make sure that whatever life you are living currently is not going to become obsolete within 10 or 20 years. Are you with me? Are you with me this afternoon? Great. Okay. So another thing, remember when we were talking about the disadvantages of, the things to look out, we said mind the gap, the digital revolution is here, the fourth industrial revolution is kicking at our heels. One of the things that we said you have to be careful about is the fact of being isolated. And that's one of the things that has been identified. You have families, they sit at the dining table, everybody is, on their iPad or on their phone, no conversation, etc. Now, as we go out into the world, no matter how digitally developed we are, you are going to need to work with people. You are going to need to work with people. And it's important that you develop emotional intelligence. And now just at the corner here, it says emotional intelligence, emotional leadership, emotional quotient, etc. is the capability of individuals to recognize their own emotions and those of others, discern between different feelings, label them appropriately, use emotional information to guide thinking, behavior, manage and or adjust emotions to adapt to environment. And all of this is so that you can achieve your goals. Because sometimes if you don't manage emotions properly, before you realize things have gone haywire, your goals have not been met, simply because there were issues that were not addressed, people issues that were not addressed. You know, when I joined the company, I thought, oh, I'm come to do law and, you know, review my contracts, etc. One of the things I found was more important was managing efficiently the team that you work with. And it starts with you. Say, it starts with me. Say, it starts with me. What you need to look at, you need to look at yourself. What are the things that set you off? What are the problems that you have? What are the challenges that you need to work on? How do you manage your emotions first before you actually also begin to look at other people's emotions and how you can work around those emotions to achieve your goals? Are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Good. So, when all is said and done, ready or not, the digital revolution is here. The fourth industrial revolution is at our heels, and whether you are ready or not, you need to jump in and you need to swim along, because if you don't, you are going to sink. And do you want to sink? Do you want to sink? You don't look to me as though you do. And so I can tell for a fact that with this information that you have, okay, you are going to look at information, you are going to jump in and use technology to make you more productive and efficient. And not just that, you're going to be responsible. As you're using information, remember the pitfalls we talked about, okay? Copyright issues, intellectual property challenges. Make sure that you don't fall foul of these things. And I believe that if you adhere to these things, okay, look at your life, look at what you're doing, look at your career, your business, assess it in the light of automation. Ask yourself that if everything is automated today, what will be the value of my career? And what will I need to do to get to the next level? I believe that if you have all those thoughts in mind, you will be ready, way ahead of time, before the next decade comes. Thank you.
And I think that Mrs. Paula Sedofor deserves another big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it for her. Great pleasure to be here. Great to see you all here. 2019 edition of the Springboard Roadshow. And Master, you're all looking fabulous. Okay, so we'll move on with the next item. We're here to be empowered. We're here to be changed, and we're here to go out there to transform our world. All right, so we'll take our next speech from the Executive Director of the Springboard Roadshow Foundation, and she is in the person of Comfort Okran, the Chief Executive Officer of Legacy and Legacy and Executive Director of Springboard Roadshow Foundation. She runs an annual motivational and career guidance tour around Ghana called the Springboard Roadshow. It serves as a platform for nations' leading public and private sector leaders to interact and inspire up and coming youth. Comfort has an MPhil in linguistics from University of Ghana, Legon, and an MA in theology from the Akrofi Christola Institute of Theology, Missions and Culture. She's also an IFC certified trainer. She's a fellow of African Leadership Initiative West Africa, otherwise known as the ALIWA, and the Aspen Global Leadership Network. She's also a fellow of the U.S. Department of State's International Visitors Leadership Program. Presently, she serves on the boards of the Bank of Ghana, Enterprise Life Assurance Company Limited, and the Ghana Institute of Literacy, Linguistics, and Bible Translation, otherwise known as the GILLBT. Okay, she doesn't want me to continue. She has too many accolades. Ladies and gentlemen, please with a big round of applause, let's welcome Comfort Okran.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Na.
I thought you were talking about someone else until, can I have my laptop? But I'm talking about implications for our job market. And you remember she spoke about the fact that ask yourself, in the next 10 years, where will the jobs be? Do you remember that statement? So it was like she had an inclination into what I was going to speak about. And I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to do that today. Well, we start from the beginning. The beginning simply says that it's about digital. And we're talking about what's the capacity. When we talk about the revolution, I'm looking at two aspects. I'm looking about how we use the digital revolution that we have. Because one of the greatest things that enabled the people in the first, second revolution to see exponential growth is the fact that they were able to apply the emerging technology to their space at that time. So then, yes, they were weaving materials, the loom, like the cloth that we have, but they were weaving it by hand. But they saw the opportunity to use the technology to be able to weave the materials even bigger, faster. And therefore, they now had more materials to use. They were moving from place to place using, let's say, a cart or a horse-driven carriage. But then they said, we can use the steam to propel a new train. And that's how the old kind of steam trains came about. They were going around the world, but you can take about 3 years before you move from India to England. But by using the steam, now you reduce the amount of time. So they made things more efficient. They make things faster. And therefore, we are now living, this is where we are living. We don't have it, we are not in the old days. We won't be born, let's say 50 years from now. How many of you will be born another 50 years from now? Let me know so I'll befriend you, because I know I have only one life to live. So all of us agree that this is where we are. And therefore we must make use of our technology. And so if we have the revolution, that sudden movement, we must make use of it. And making use of it implies that we should be able to generate, we need to process it, we need to apply that knowledge that we see on the internet, whether in the school, when we go to school, when we go to our various colleges, that information that we are giving, how do we use it? And that is what the Springboard is all about. How can we apply that technology? And from there, we come to what Paula talked about earlier, the various revolutions, and we stopped at the fourth revolution. This fourth revolution implies that, yes, you have digitization, but now it is closer and more integrated in our human space. It's not far away, it is close by. If you look at formally, when we say we are going to the job, you go to a desk, and then we have different supervisors. You have somebody who is in charge of production, and the production, there's even one person who is just making sure that the machine turns at a particular angle. So you can see the old type of workplace in the black and white. Now, this is the new workplace. The person must know design. The person must know drawing. You must know engineering. You must know technology. You must even know how to produce. So one-man production center, that is where we are going to. And it's even closer still, because now sometimes the opportunity to produce is embedded in you. So it is not just a case of I'm going to learn law, or I'm going to learn, I'm just learning fine art. Nowadays, I take my computer. If I have some inkling about fine art, I can actually draw something. Do you agree? Fine art people. Last time I was talking to a friend of mine. He sells his paintings for about $1 million here in Ghana. But he's also saying that, even though I'm selling He's amazing, and this is I personally call him a servant because he can draw, he can paint, he does textiles. He's a one hub. He plays music. He's amazing, and even he's wondering where what the implication the digital revolution will have on his business. Because yes, how many people can afford his $1 million artworks? So how is he going to integrate his technology into his business? That is what he's wondering about. If we look at another slide, between last years, you remember, I'm sure you've seen this picture before, where you see the man, and unfortunately in Ghana, we sometimes have this kind of technology still at work. So are we ready to play in this space, where drones are giving the thing fertilizer, not human beings? Drones are watering the fields for us, or this space where you have what they call demand-driven irrigation. So then the machine senses which particular plant needs to be watered and waters just that plant. So then it's more efficient, you don't waste water. Or in this one where they are harvesting, but they are actually rolling along with, so you can see as they are harvesting, they are putting the things in the crates. They are not on the field. They are in a car. Technically, that's a car. They are driving, and then they are harvesting, and they are processing even as they harvest. We are in Ghana. We know that 80% of us will remain here. But let's say the 20% of us who decide to go away, can we live in this world? And then if the 20% who have gone decide to return, and then they go this way, can we live in their world? And if we have the land, and we are not using it, and somebody comes into our space, and nowadays you can testify, you see the number of Chinese people running around the country. They are taking our space, and they are taking they are bringing their technology and using it. So let's not say that the digital technology is happening in somewhere in the world. It's happening in the world, and it's close to your home. And therefore, we need to start thinking. We need to start playing in the field, not just thinking, but playing in the field, so that we can also create wealth for ourselves. We have the last one that I want to show, and that one is for those of us with a cynic base. 100 years ago, this was a weapon, not 100, even so many years ago, this was a weapon of mass destruction that we had, the bow and arrow. Right? But right now, when you watch Wakanda, or you see Infinity War, and you see that cyborg over there, you're like, oh, this one is Sini. Wait a minute, that is not Sini, it's happening. They may not have yet weaponized it, but people are being machine parts are being inserted into people. So there are workplaces where when you go into work, you no longer badge in with your fingerprint. You just scan your hand and you enter. And that same information in your body is what you use even when you're going to buy something. So you go to the supermarket, there's no shop attendant. There's no shop attendant that you say, oh, the shop attendant was rude to me. You are there, you just go and buy your stuff and leave the shop, and your bank account somewhere will be the funds will be deducted from that account because you have set up yourself in the system. The technology is here. The technology is being used. Weaponization is just the next step, and it will happen. You see men flying. by themselves. We already have the jet packs. Those will enable us to fly. Now we ourselves will be controlling and then it will no longer be in a Marvel movie. It will be live and colored in our eyes. So this stage has come and is coming. Are we ready for it? The digital revolution. Are we ready for it? Right. Okay, so what is the impact? Understand, basically some jobs will become redundant. When the hoe was abandoned, or the plow was abandoned, and now they had mechanized plows, the people that used to do the hard work of plowing became redundant, and they had to be reskilled and retooled. What are we learning that will make us more relevant in the coming years? I can tell you that some of the jobs that will be lost would also be replaced by robots. Nowadays, in some Japanese hospitals, the robots are the ones they have even replaced something like teddy bears. We have I don't know how many of us have interacted with Alexa before. Alexa, I'm sure you should. Alexa, how many of us have interacted with Alexa before? Can we have some hand raising? Well, Alexa is a tool that simply does all your stuff for you in the house. So you tell Alexa, turn off the light. So you don't have to go to the light and switch it off. Alexa will turn off your light. Alexa, play some music for me. But at least we know Siri, don't we? Siri, we know Siri. Siri is, should I say senior sister? Siri's senior sister is Alexa. Because Alexa has more application outside your phone. So that's Siri's senior sister. So that's the kind of thing we are talking about. So let's say that we are able to have a robot that can cook fufu. Kumasi, fufu. Eesh, that'll be serious, so because the pounding must come on. Somebody actually opened the mouth, but the pounding must be on. Okay, but let's not rule it out completely. Let's not rule it out completely, because we do have some millennials here who may not mind their food not being pounded. Do you get me? If we have the 40s, and they will say no, it must come on. But the millennials may decide that they don't mind robots pounding their fufu for them. So we pound the fufu. The chop bar sellers will now have to make do out of all the people who are pounding fufu. Hey, that would be interesting. Because why I'm saying that is that there are restaurants that do not have waiters. It's like a production line. And whatever food you want, you just go to the screen, order your food. Your food is brought to you, and then you decide where you're going, and that's it. You've done your job. Functions was all things that we do normally would also be outsourced, okay? And then our capacity will be increased. And of course, whenever there's a revolution, there's always new jobs. But we must be ready for the jobs, okay? So what are the things that are driving the change in our world? We, the human beings, we are living longer. I'm sure nowadays when you look in the mirror, in the graphic, even the people who are growing, yes, you have the water shocks there. But then apart from that, when you look at the other side, you see people who are like 80 going on. In my time, 40 was quite common. So we are living longer, and more so when you have this thing. We have more smart machines. The world has become very fast. The computation is very fast. New media technology growing exponentially. And then most importantly, we're also having the, what do you call it? We have structures, organizations that are multi-layered. So then if you have something like Amazon doesn't have a production line. It doesn't have its own distribution line. It doesn't have its, it just has maybe warehouses, but it's able to sell you anything from anywhere in the world. And that is the strength of, so it's not just that you have, you don't have to go to just one place to get something, then you go to another place to get another thing, then you go to another place to get another thing. One organization can provide all your needs in that space. And then finally, we are connected all over the world. We are globally connected, right? So then, what are future important skills you must have? You must be able to determine the significance of what has been said. You remember Pala talked about the fact that you need to know that you shouldn't be so trusting. The same way, the main driver is smart machines. So when the machine tells you something, you just don't go with that. You must be able to connect with others outside your particular space. So yes, we are in Kumasi, we are in tech. But can we connect with people who are outside that space? And this is the sources from the World Economic Forum, okay? So those are the future job skills that we need. We also need to be able to be adaptive. You know, my daughter told me some time ago she was wanting to do design learning. And I was like, what too is that design learning? I mean, design something. It's not proper design. He said, organizational design. Yes, organization. I said, now, organization design too, what kind of, what is that? And when she told me, I was like, why don't you, I was looking at the traditional, and then she was like, no, this is the way to go. Organizational design is the way to go. And I said, okay. And when she explained to me, I said, oh, it makes sense. This is a new world that we are living in. So this is the kind of learning you must have. Not just that you say that this is how it is done and therefore I learn it. I stay that way. No, we need to be able to adapt to our new world. Okay? Cross-cultural competence. We are sitting here. We are having people, the opportunity to interact with people outside our space must be relevant to us. And we must learn how to interact with them and make ourselves relevant there. New media literacy. Yes, we do social media, but that is not enough. So new media literacy implies that we understand how. Right now we just work there, but we need to understand how it is made, how it is done, the how to, so that we can also create our own. Look, we may have Google, but the Chinese have their own. Africans, where's ours? We need to create our own. And then, oops, sorry. And then finally, the last part is being able to be cognitive, to know when to talk to who, where to understand, and so on and so forth. The new world is an interesting space. And then the need to be virtual. Because sometimes we believe that we must see each other face to face, and that is a Ghanaian thing. But the virtual world implies that the person is not there. How many of us watched Wakanda when it came out? You remember there was a time that the lady was in the lab and they were arresting somebody in another place. And the lady was driving the car for the gentleman to go after that car. It was crazy. But the time would come when you'll be sitting in Ghana and you'll be working with somebody outside in some other part of the world. And you will meet halfway and you will both interact. And that is the digital world we are coming in. And you must be open to find out who in GH is doing something like that. Who is the innovator there? Or can I be the innovator there? And once you do that, you can imagine what will happen to your outfit if you think that way. So you must be able to get that going, right? So those are the future world job skills. These are top declining by 2022. So
those of you who are thinking of being clerks know that your job is already gone. It's gone. It's not there. It's unavailable, right? Because even somebody like accountants, look, the thing is any job that is routine, you can predict the outcome. 1 + 1 = 2 is in trouble. Any job that is 1 + 1 = 2, gone. By 2022, these are the ones, and please, if you don't like digitization, please, you must love it, because almost every job will involve some form of digitization. Some form of digitization. So you must prepare for that digitization. I mean, if me or a lady like me, am I old? No, I'm not. I'm a millennial. Am I not? Yeah, I'm not old. So, I mean, I'm retooling myself so that I'll be more relevant. So these are the jobs. Yep. She's laughing at me. Any job that will have some form of digitization, that person means that you are going to be relevant going forward. By 2022, you're going to go forward. Any job that involves skills that you don't have. You remember the first picture that we showed between the traditional workplace and the new workspace. Any job that involves you being multi-skilled, it will be difficult to replace, because you can't get one system that can do all that at once. So it'll be difficult to replace. So look at how you will broaden so what are the opportunities? The opportunities exist in education. You have business decisions, medicine. I mean, nowadays, even transplants, they are thinking about using 3D parts. It has been experimented. You know 3D, you've heard of 3D printing, right? Yeah. So they are using the parts that are printed, even aeroplanes. They're talking about using 3D parts in aeroplanes. The arts, I'm still looking at the future of the arts industry. I haven't get this thing. So what do I say? Create your own path. Know yourself. Develop your plan. Know where you want to be. As for tech and communications, you cannot do without it. You must know that. Learn constantly. Be multi-skilled. And finally, type into divine strategy. Because without God, is the one who gave us the opportunity to be here. Without God, we can't do it. So in all our doing, let's make sure that we are able to tap into divine strategy, and we can be sure that the digital revolution that we are talking about, you and I can play a role. We can partake in it. We don't want to be left behind. We are already behind, but let's move ahead of the curve. We created, I mean, when I say we, Africans, we created the mobile money usage. They are catching up with us. There's more that we can create. Let's work together and create a revolution that would enable everyone in this room and outside this room be part of the world that we are living in. Thank you, and God richly bless you.
I think you can do it better for comfort, okay? That was a very powerful one. We are charged. We are getting ready to take over the world. And I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors at this point. Kind courtesy, MTN. Of course, we day for you. We're bringing you the Springboard Roadshow for the year 2019. With support from UMB, Enterprise Life, Data Bank, PESO. And I would like to also acknowledge our media partners, the Multimedia Group, Joy FM, Graphic Business, Dream Oral, Yep Cleaning Services, and York's Rent a Car. Are we having a swell time already? Are we empowered? Oh, yeah, quiet too. I am not feeling your digital attitude. Are we empowered? Are we ready for the bigger things as far as Springboard Roadshow 2019 is concerned? Okay. All right. So we'll move on to our next session. But you get ready, because the next part It will be very powerful, very insightful, very exciting as well. And the ultimate part is that you are taking something wonderful home. You're not here just to listen, just to be empowered, but we're also making sure that we are impacting on you on every side. Okay, so we'll move on. Next we'll have our colloquium, and I am going to invite Auntie Paula. I like to call her Auntie Paula, yes, of course she is. I'd like to invite Auntie Paula to join us right here on stage. And I'd also like to invite Comfort to also join here on stage as we get into our colloquium. Let's give them a hand to also come. Okay, just to remind you that the Springboard Roadshow 2019 is live on Facebook. That's on the Springboard Roadshow platform on Facebook. So if you have friends at home, you can prompt them to join us. If you're following Albert or Comfort Okran on Facebook as well, you can go onto their page and share what's going on right here. All right. So Comfort, Auntie Paula, welcome.
Thank you.
This is going to be an interesting session because we have too many questions that people want answers to. And I know that you women, you're powerful. We just celebrated International Women's Day. So, yeah, powerful women on the platform. We're going to do justice, yes, to all the questions that you ask. So we'll start with one from Bayaga Amidu Fatal, who is a student of the IBMNJ right here in Kumasi. And Bayaga says, I want to know how prepared Data Bank is to make sure that customers are certain without fear investing in this establishment, unlike the defunct company Men's Gold in quotes. And he continues to say, MTN Ghana, your work in this country cannot be overemphasized, but then if you travel to the northern aspect of this country, most people in the hinterland are struggling just to access better network almost at all the time. What are your steps to abate this situation? I guess Paula can answer the second part.
Well, what I'll just say is that MTN is constantly investing in the country. And I mean, you heard about the fact that we are the highest taxpayer. Apart from that, we are investing various kinds of technology, fiber, etc., into the country. And, you know, what we have to do basically is that there are plans that are ongoing. And so as time goes on, it's going to improve and we'll see what happens. Of course, sometimes you have a lot of challenges. You've heard about issues of fiber cuts. You know, you lay all these fiber, etc. When roads are being, you know, constructed, the fiber is just cut and then it disrupts, you know, information and stuff like that. And then putting things back together becomes a major challenge. However, like we said, we are committed to making lives brighter. We've always said that we day for you. And so certainly we take on board your challenges, and they are challenges as well. And we'll see to it that these are addressed.
I like the way Paula says we day for you with Vim. Yes, MTN, we day for you. Michael from Kumasi says, where does the line lie between emotional intelligence and manipulation? That is circumventing people's emotions to your cause. I think Paula will be the best person to also respond to that.
I think that basically, when you talk about emotional intelligence, you're not talking about manipulation. Manipulation is wanting people to do what you want. And that is not the way we want to go, because you don't want to manipulate people to do what you want. What we are talking about here is that you have an institution that has a strategy, that has a goal, that has a plan. And you have to have people come along with you as a team to accomplish these plans for the better good of the institution. So it's not about having people do what you want, but getting people together, rallying them together, you know, finding the vim and all that is required to ensure that the strategies that have been put in place are accomplished as a team.
Okay, so here's a big name. I'm going to take my time. Comfort, you want to add something?
Yes, and I also want to say that emotional intelligence helps an organization really achieve their game, because you have the opportunity to work with people, you understand what somebody is going through, and therefore you are able to respond to a colleague's needs. And when the person feels that I am part of this group, the person is able to contribute more. So emotional intelligence is not manipulation. They are two separate things. The person who uses manipulation is someone who is self-seeking. Emotional intelligence looks like how we can do it together. It's like what we call walking in somebody else's shoes. You don't walk in the person's shoes because you want to manipulate the person. You walk in the person's shoes in order to empathize, in order to see how the thing looks from his or her perspective. So then every stakeholder in a decision is considered and their views are taken on board. And therefore you really have a stronger decision.
Well, this will be a follow-up for me. Do companies or institutions really pay attention to the emotional needs of workers as against getting the job done? Which one is top as far as prioritization is concerned?
Well, I think